But before all else, I just want to point out that 2016 was a shitty year. I mean, between all the great celebrities that we lost, people like Carrie Fisher, Alan Rickman, David Bowie, George Michael, and those are just a few names that come to the top of my head. The fact that the country with the biggest and most deadly military in the entire world decided to elect a thin-skinned megalomaniac, well, who has small hands and was probably fathered by an orange-haired orangutan as its leader, and the fact that life decided to strike a very personal blow in my own personal life. So yeah, overall I can say that 2016 can go fuck itself. But seeing as it was overall a bad year, there were some glimmers of hope that appeared in it, and some things that actually made me reconsider committing seppuku. And one of those things were the video games that I played during 2016. And keeping that in mind, seeing as 2016 wasn't actually that full of great titles as hoped it to be, I mean, I didn't get my Persona 5, I didn't get the Stick of, no, not the Stick of Truth, was the second game, Fractured But Whole. But yeah, it wasn't even supposed to be released in 2016. You know what, doesn't matter. What does matter is this is gonna be a list of the 10 games that I found were the best in 2016. So, let's get to it.
Number 10. Overwatch. Okay, to start I have to say that I am not a big fan of Activision Blizzard, as I firmly believe that Bobby Kotick is evil personified. I just really dislike the guy. I associate his face with the company responsible for a series of subpar games based on some movie license and an endless flood of Call of Duty titles. Still, once every blue moon, Activision has a breakthrough and decides to release a game that actually makes me break my boycott of their company. Case in point, Blizzard's Overwatch. This game is entertaining as heck with its graphic style, fast-paced action and a large roster of playable characters, each packing a unique set of abilities. That provides for long hours of gameplay, especially if you're playing with a group of close friends. Adding to the fact that Blizzard still plans on updating the game with additional content, then I guess it will leave my hard drive for a long time. Number 9. Total War Warhammer. Personally, I am not a huge fan of strategy games, because, to be frank, I would be a lousy leader, whether I would control a regiment of soldiers or an entire nation. In real life, my illustrious and short career would end under a blade, and my name would go down in history among the likes of Louis XVI, Nero or Nikolai II. Video games, however, offer no real repercussions for being an inept leader, and sometimes even I have to take a break from actively saving the fantasy world of something Nigeria and see how it is to command a hero instead of being one. And here comes Total War, which is one of the best RTS series period, and I will fight you for it. The individual titles allow the player to become a leader in feudal Japan, medieval Europe and ancient Rome, among other more active eras of humanity's expansion. The latest installment, however, takes us away from history and into fantasy. Yay! The 10th Total War title takes place in a Warhammer universe, which means that if you're a fan of both, that would be Total War and fantasy, just like me, first you will ask what on earth did it take Creative Assembly to make this mix, and then you will dive in for hours to reshape the borders of this fictional realm as you see fit. Number 8. Battlefield 1. In my book, Battlefield is one of the greatest FPS of all time, and I will fight you for that as well. With its huge maps, massive multiplayer battles, and the ability to fight as you want in modern war scenarios, there is very little that you cannot do in a field of battle. Fly a fighter jet or a helicopter and enjoy a good dogfight high above the heads of your allies, get into a tank or an armored vehicle and level the various structures on the map, zip around in a jeep or a buggy, scouting the area for your comrades, or just run around as a simple infantry trooper shooting at things. And now, after Battlefield 4, a shooter with a contemporary setting, DICE decide to turn back the clock and place the players in the middle of World War I, a time period underused in video games if you ask me. So now you can play around in the sky with the Red Baron, have a good old time shooting down zeppelins, and enjoy all the other military hijinks of the Great War, whether playing online or enjoying a short, intense single-player story. Number 7. Far Cry Primal. We can all agree that the first Far Cry was a huge surprise. It basically came out of nowhere, looked amazing, and I think it still does, played like a dream, and any next title in the series took place in a whole new amazing environment. We had a tropical island, a country in the Himalayas, a neon cyber future, you name it. Every title also had an amazing sense of freedom that frankly always blew my mind. Starting with your choice on how to play, as a silent assassin utilizing knives and silenced guns, or going gung-ho as an explosion nut with a heavy machine gun in one hand, a RPG in the other and a live grenade clutch in your teeth, frankly the world was your oyster. Players could utilize animals, such as tigers, to kill their opponents, go on nice narcotic-induced trips. You could even mount a friggin' elephant and use the creature as a living bulldozer in Far Cry 4. And now you may be asking, how can you one-up riding a friggin' elephant? Well, that's easy. Make it a mammoth and place the game 10,000 years BC. Screw the guns. Give me a stone sword and let me go primal, please. Number 6. Darkest Dungeon. First time I saw Darkest Dungeon was in one of Two Best Friends Play episodes, and right then it went on my to-get list. Granted, it was in 2015 and the footage was early access, but this 2D indie turn-based RPG had a lot of things that rubbed me the right way. Amazing graphics that bring to mind the style of Dark Souls, a hard gameplay mode in the gothic world that takes a lot from the creativity of H.P. Lovecraft, a hard difficulty spec that doesn't tolerate mistakes, and a nice story involving an abandoned estate taken over by the forces of evil, and a whole system of dungeons underneath that need to be cleansed with iron and fire. Overall, if you're a fan of RPG and Gothic, or just want to try playing something challenging, I guarantee that you will love this game. Number 5. Tyranny. Most of the RPG games that I play are usually about the chosen one, that special character that becomes the main protagonist and has to make a long journey to save the world or finish some other altruistic crusade. But what if sometimes I don't want to save the world? Maybe I want to join Team Rocket after I meet that guy in the bridge in Pokemon Fire Red. Well, if like me you think that Darkseid is a lot more fun than the light, which it is, then Tyranny is just for you. Enter a world where an evil being of immense power conquered the land, and you play as one of the many agents responsible for maintaining the order of his empire, providing the inside view of how it would be to work for Emperor Palpatine or Sauron. Number 4. Dishonored 2. After saving his daughter, the now new Empress Emily Kaldwin, all those years ago, Corvo probably never imagined that he would live through another coup. But now with the emergence of Emily's alleged aunt, long thought dead, it's time for the old spy master or the young Empress herself to pick up arms and take back what's theirs. And they can do that in a variety of ways, as both Corvo and Emily are skilled with a sword and a gun, and the outsider, kind of a god, gave them a set of amazing powers. So, whoever the gamer chooses as their protagonist, they can play every stage as they see fit. Be the ghost shadow sneaking behind enemies, kill everyone silently, or show them how much better you are with a blade fighting head on. You can take the high road through the rooftops or sneak through the sewers to get to your target. The sky is the limit. Number 3. Rise of the Tomb Raider. Let's go back in time for a second. It's May 20th, 1997, the day I had my first communion. That day was very important in my life, not because I first took Jesus into my heart by digesting a piece of his flesh, but because one of the presents I got was a sparkling new PSX with a set of free games, one of which was, you guessed it, Tomb Raider. Now, 20 years later, when I play the newest title in the series, I have to say that Lara Croft still has it. The game is amazing and is a very good follow-up after the equally great 2013 reboot. Lady Croft is a lot more hardened now and ready to take on the adventure awaiting her in Siberia. You know, you really should play this game considering the last year was my year of the Tomb Raider, or if you don't want to, just watch my full LP, whichever you prefer. Number 2. Dark Souls 3. Dark Souls is an integral part of my life ever since I contributed to the online petition for a PC port. Then I played the first game, keeping in mind all the opinions and reviews I saw online and in video game magazines that said how difficult the game was, and I feared that the difficulty would drive me away after the first boss kills me for the 100th time. But it will just be the opposite. Every death filled me with more determination than Frisk, and the way that the story isn't spoon-fed to you also worked in the game's advantage in my book. So after I finished off Gwyn the Lord of Cinder, I knew I was hooked and had to play the next games that come in the series. Now, as the third and probably the final game in the Souls series gets released, I have to say I'm not disappointed. It continues to provide what the fans of the series love the most: the challenge, the lore, and the depth. A lot of it. The game also has a great replay value, with New Game Plus going up to New Game Plus 7 and a set of 2 DLC that introduce new locations, enemies, and gear. And the number one game of 2016 is The Last Guardian. Kept us waiting, huh? Is the quote very adequate for this game? As a fan of Shadow of the Colossus, I waited for the release of this title for what feels like ages, constantly dreading when SIE Japan Studio would announce its cancellation. But now that it's here, I feel giddy like a schoolgirl. The wait was worth it, let me tell you. This game is amazing. It looks great, sounds great, and the weird crossbreed is adorable. Not to mention that this game is a welcome change of pace from my usual pick of medieval slashers and futuristic shooters. This game is an experience, and I refuse to write anything about the gameplay because everyone should play this on their own. It's a true masterpiece in its own class and a very strong argument for getting a PS4, because if you don't play this, you're really missing out.
And this has been my pick of the top 10 games of 2016. Do you agree with my list? What are your choices? Let me know in the comments below. Also, if you enjoy my work, do leave a like and subscribe. This has been Aridan the Gaming Ronin, signing off.